One more time. We back again, family. We got another show this evening. This one was supposed to come out last week. I withheld it because I gave you guys a heads up. We were supposed to post this last Wednesday, but I did get some calls on it. I wanted to get it the attention that it deserved. Will, what's going on, big guy? I wanted to get it the attention that it deserved. I didn't want to rush through it. And I did receive some more calls this week on it. We did some more posts on Facebook. I'm trying to gather as much research and comments as I possibly can on it. And like you guys can go to the Facebook page and kind of see what's going on with the situation. So tonight is the show is about what percentage of women are actually available. Okay, so now this is coming from the research, and you know what we do. It's a research-based information. We try to stay away from the opinions because that can get very personal. It can be very misleading. It could be mishandled very, very easily. So because we've been gathering this information for the last 10 years, we wanted to stay consistent. We wanted to be persistent. And we want to try to be as precise as possible. So we want you guys to call in, chime in, send us questions and comments if you like. We appreciate all the feedback. It's a good thing. So we would love that if y'all could do that. So we got the call last Tuesday. A young lady called in and she attended a couple of the forums, years ago. She gave me some good feedback. She just let me know from her perspective how she saw it. And that gave me some insight on, why we're disconnected, why we're missing each other, what do we need to do to improve this communication and bridge this gap. So I talked to her and I spoke to a couple of other young ladies. And they were giving me their opinion and their feedback on what they think. Now, what I want to do is, first I want to do that disclaimer and let everybody know. What we do, we don't judge, we assess. Because the judgment means somebody has to win, somebody has to lose. A judgment is a competition. We don't compete, we complement here with the Clipperdome Chronicles. We don't do that. The woman is a massive assistant and the woman has the power. Every day, all day, hands down, every time. This is what it is. It's nothing any different. So this show, I put it out there, I let the ladies know. If you're not looking for elevation, if you're not trying to reboot, restart, regroup, trying to grow and elevate, this is not the show for you. It's probably going to be a select few women that can take this video and really make it work for them, because you have to be in a position for the growth. The men, what they're telling me and what they're discussing is sometimes, the sisters, it doesn't matter what you think. Sometimes, no matter what you think, no matter how that works for you, it doesn't make any sense to us. It's all about what we think. It has nothing to do with what you think. And the same thing on the other side for the brothers. Sometimes it doesn't matter what we think, fellas. What we think is totally irrelevant. That woman, what she thinks of us, that's all that matters. We're trying to pursue her. She gets to judge whether or not this is for her, or if we get to judge if this is for us. So when we get down to it, no matter what she thinks and what she feels, sisters, this one is for you. What you think and feel doesn't matter. So we're going to kick it off and get into it. Now, my personal story. I have dated after my divorce, dealing with women. I've had some women who really, really wanted to try to elevate. They really wanted a healthy relationship. They wanted something long term, of course, that leads to marriage. I dated a young lady. She literally was laying on the floor. She was rolling around and she was fighting within herself, because sometimes the enemy is the inner me. She was fighting within herself. It had nothing to do with what we were going through. I was trying to be patient. I was trying to take my time. I was helping her along. We sat down. We wrote out what she thought was wrong. We sat down and tried to govern together. I wasn't trying to control her. We both agreed. And as she was going through those things, I learned something. People are struggling within themselves. A lot of times it doesn't have anything to do with another person, if you're being honest. A lot of times my sisters, they get offended when they should be embarrassed. And I'm not talking about that situation. I'm saying they should be, instead of getting offended as to what a man says to them, they should sometimes be embarrassed because that's something that they did to trigger the man, or something that they did to bring on that situation. But when they're not being accountable, you can very easily be offended when you should be embarrassed. That was another call that we took last week. It was a brother that called in and gave me that one. And I hear that a lot, but never heard it put that way. So the young lady that I was dating that was fighting within herself, what really gives me the pause and what really gives me the passion to do this is because I see that they really want to change. But there are a lot of traumas. There's a lot of triggers. There's a lot of dysfunctions. It's a lot of, hey, auntie, what's going on? There's a lot of things going on inside of that woman that we really need to try to look into and examine. But the man, again, like we did a video a week ago, it was called, do you have the tools? Do you have the diagnostic skills? And then after you diagnose what's wrong, when you sit down with your woman, do you have the tools to try to help fix and resolve those issues? Then, if you do the right diagnosis with your woman, if you have the tools and resources to help your woman, can you have some assistance? Because sometimes the information that you're going to need, and you're going to need more help, that's bigger than you. So you have to have wiser counsel. You have to have somebody that's on your team that can help you sift through that and help you with your woman at times. And that's not with everything. So we want to first go off into when we say man, and we're going to do this again. We want to come from a boy to a mature man and from a girl to a mature woman so that we can put these things in context, because this is a research-based information. This is not an opinion. This is the stuff that we've gathered through the research, and we can improve on this, and we can also enhance it with your help. This is not set in stone. This is not the end-all, cure-all, be-all. This is just one approach. This is the most efficient approach that we know today. But if somebody has something different, please, by all means, give us a call and send us some comments. So a boy has no discipline. He has no respect. He doesn't understand responsibility, nor does he understand safety. He has to be totally taken care of by adult supervision. A young man is starting to understand respect. He's starting to understand discipline. He's starting to be able to take care of himself, and he is starting to understand responsibility, and he still needs constant adult supervision. A man is a mental, spiritual, and physical responsibility. The man is the mental, physical responsibility piece. A man has to be mentally strong enough to know that he needs wiser counsel than himself. A man has to be strong enough to build if he has to work or if he has to go provide. And spiritually, a man has to know that there's a higher power, a higher authority governing his life so that he can take care of him, his family, and his community. The difference between a mature man and a man, the only difference between those two is a mature man puts his priority over his preferences. Now, we're going to move to a girl. A girl's definition is similar to a boy. A girl, she doesn't understand safety. She doesn't understand responsibility. She doesn't understand respect. And she needs constant adult supervision. A young lady is starting to understand safety. She's starting to understand her emotions. She's starting to understand respect and discipline. And she still needs adult supervision. A woman is a caregiver and a nurturer. The woman is the first teacher. She is the massive assistant. That is, the woman is wise enough to know that she needs to get wise counsel as well. And she does have a spiritual connection as well. The difference between a mature woman and a woman, the only difference is, again, is priority over preference. A mature woman understands that there is a higher power governing her life, and she needs to make wiser decisions that impact her family and her community. Hey, B Young, what's going on? So now we went through the definitions again. So when we had these conversations, when my sisters give me a call, when they tell me, Dennis, this man hurt me, this man beat me, this man took my money. A man is a protector and a provider. A man did not do that to you. Now, my sisters, let's look into the past. My sisters, when they come up to me, they tell me that a man took advantage of them, a man hurt them, a man hit them, a man emotionally tried to destroy them. Now, once I ask the sister, how old were you when these things happened to you? A lot of times they go back to their early teens or their early 20s. Sisters, it's very hard for you to date a man in your teens and 20s. It's probably almost close to impossible to get with a man in your early 20s and teens. Most young men are still in the training phase. Now, when we say man and woman, these are stages. These are mentalities. They are titles. They are not ages. Just because a male is over 18 and 6 feet tall with a six-pack, that doesn't constitute a man. Just because the woman is 38, 24, 38, and she's over 18, that doesn't constitute a woman. These are mentalities. These are stages. They are not ages. So we want to make sure that we stay on that. So when we start talking about man and woman, we don't give a boy the assignment of a man. Because you can have a 60-year-old boy and you can have a 60-year-old girl. So ladies, when we talk to the fellas and when we say that these are non-negotiables, no matter how virtuous you are, no matter how beautiful you are, no matter how intelligent you are, there are sometimes what you think doesn't matter. It is totally up to the man. and what he thinks and what he feels about you, that is the deal breaker. It doesn't matter what you think. It doesn't matter how beautiful you are. Everything about you is irrelevant when that man is assessing you and trying to find out if he wants to pursue you. So what we have to do is understand that there are rules to everything. So if there's a job that requires somebody to have a bachelor's degree, and you don't have the bachelor's degree, and you walk up to that job without that bachelor's degree, now you may very well get the job, but somebody with a bachelor's degree is always going to be able to trump and take that job from you because the requirement specifically says you need a bachelor's degree. If you walk up to a club and it's a private club and you need a membership in order to get into this club, that's a requirement. Those are the rules. In order for you to get into that club, of course, you're going to need that membership or somebody with a membership who can take you in there. There are rules. To my sisters, there are rules for the brothers to follow in order for us to be suitors, or for you to engage us, or in order for us to be somebody that you deem suitable enough to date. So we have what we call the invisible man. The invisible man could be the nice guy, the guy with the best manners, the guy who's very monotone. He doesn't have any flavor. He don't have that swag. He don't have that style. Or it could be the guy that's broke. Okay? So we all know, they got records about it. The sisters talk about it all the time. They say, I don't want no broke man. I don't want no scrub, all this kind of stuff. So an invisible man could be the nice guy, or it could be the guy with no money. Okay? So now, ladies, we know the rules. There's rules to everything. What are the rules to the man? What is invisible to him? What type of woman won't be picked up? What type of woman will not get approached? Okay? Because there are rules on the other side. So when I take the calls, I get a lot of sisters, they hurting. They want it bad. They want a relationship. They're very serious. And this is the conversation. But now I need to know, what are you willing to do? What are you willing to give up? What are you willing to sacrifice to get this man that you want in your life? Because he's going to have requirements just like you do. Do you meet his requirements? Sisters, most men are going to be looking for a woman who is self-sufficient, not independent. Independence means to stand alone, no assistance at all, to be by yourself and be alone. That is the definition of independence. A man is looking for a woman who is self-sufficient. And self-sufficient means that you can take care of yourself. And then a wise woman will know that she can incorporate a man into her lifestyle and what she's currently doing. So the rules for my sisters is we are visual and we are physical. Hey, Mark, what's going on, big guy? So because the man is visual and physical, that's going to be the first rule for him. Just like the woman, the first rule is protection and provisions. That is connected to her safety and her security. That is tied to her emotions, which drives her mental. So it's the same thing for the man. At our core, we are visual and we're physical. So if that man is going to engage that woman, he's going to first look at how she's presented to him physically. And visually, he's going to be stimulated. That is the core of his nature. Those are non-negotiables, and that's not going to change no matter what that woman thinks. She may think that she's a beautiful woman and she has a beautiful mind. She's virtuous. Everybody in her circles could like her. Everybody at the church, everybody at the job. But that man has to approve of you and what he thinks about you. And what she thinks is totally irrelevant at this point. So when I'm taking the calls, I'm making sure that the ladies are understanding. It doesn't matter what you think. It doesn't matter what you feel at times. You must respect the fact that he has a core and he has rules just like you do. I mean, what's going on, good brother? So now, we talked about what a man and a woman is. We talked about the ladies that really, really want it. Okay? So we want to go into, we want to use an example of maybe like going to the grocery store. Okay? So we want to use this as a metaphor and a simile. Okay? Going to the grocery store. Now, we're talking about the man and the woman being in general the same. In general. So then we're going to get to the specifics, okay? So in general, when we walk into the grocery store, you usually have two big doors that you come into. It's usually the counters in front of you. Then it's a cashier. And then when you walk behind there, it's usually chips and sodas behind the counter. And then you got your canned good aisle. You got your water and your pop aisle. You have your canned meat aisle. You have your snack aisles with the chips. You have your aisles with your peanuts. You have your automotive section. You have your vegetables in a certain section. You have all your meats in the section. No matter what grocery store you go to in general, they are all the same. Okay? So you can go to a high-end grocery store. Now we're going to get into the more organic foods. You know, the ones where you got like Whole Foods, or you got, you know, I don't know where you from, in the country, they have these, the higher end grocery stores, okay? Now at the higher end grocery stores, they're all set up the same, but the prices are different. They have smaller buggies. The reason they have smaller buggies, because most people don't get the opportunity to fill them up. It's too expensive, even for the people who can afford it. It's just very expensive to shop in those stores, so it's just structured just a little bit different in that regard. But in general, the produce is in the same space, the meats are in the same place, the canned goods are in the same place, and so on and so forth. Now, we're going to move on. You got also some on the lower end. If it's not the organic ones, if it's not in the suburbs, you got grocery stores that are set up the exact same way in the middle income areas and also in the low income areas. So then we're going to move to, say, a hotel. Okay, so you can go to a 5-star hotel where you got a gentleman or a lady that'll open the door for you when you get out of the car. They'll walk you to the door and let you in. When you walk in, there's a concierge desk. They'll take care of any of your needs. They'll tell you what's in the city. If you need tickets to the show, if you want to, if you need to order a rental car, if you need to get a taxi cab, they can help you with that. Then you'll have a bellhop. They may take you up to your room. Then they'll put you in your suite. Then you have 24-hour room service. You may have a spa and a salon 24 hours a day. This is a full service 5-star hotel. Okay, this is a difference. So then we'll step down. You may not have a concierge, and it may be very nice. You may be staying somewhere where you still may have somebody to take you up to your room, but the room is a little smaller, doesn't cost as much. Then you also have, when you step down, and you may go to, say for instance, a Super 8 or one of the lower end hotels, and that's where you can just pull your car up to the door. You get out your car and walk right into your room. These are the differences. Okay, so now using those examples, and we're using it as a metaphor for the sisters. Okay, so now when we're using those examples as metaphors, now what are you willing to pay? What price are you willing to pay to get to the 5-star hotel? And now we're using the 5-star hotel as being the man. Now when the man is the 5-star hotel, you know that there's a different price that you're going to pay when you stay in a 5-star hotel. You know that there's a different price that you're going to pay when you stay in a mid-range hotel. You know that there's a price you're going to pay when you go to a motel, or you just pull your car up to the door and get out. That's the equivalent to the man. What are you willing to do? Can you follow those rules? Do you understand how that works and doesn't work? So when that man has his needs and his prerequisites, it doesn't matter how you feel about what he thinks. He thinks what he thinks, and that's what it is. If you would like for that man to pursue you, you're going to have to abide by those rules and understand those guidelines. So we're just using that analogy for the hotel and the grocery store to try to connect it to the woman and the rules and regulations of the different levels of men that you want to pursue you. If you want to get on a certain level, there are certain prerequisites that you have to have in order to get that man to pursue you. We have the ladies sometimes, and this is not all women, sometimes my sisters, they prioritize things in the wrong order. When I say sometimes they prioritize things in the wrong order, we'll just say like my sister may go to the gym. If she's going to the gym, that's a good thing. Or if she wants to go to a families and friend event, she might have some games that the family may have that she's going to go to. Now she might want to get her education and further that. She's spending her time. Those are beautiful things, okay? Now, if the woman goes to the gym, is that bad? Of course not. Is it bad when she goes to her friend and family gaming events? Of course not. Is it bad when she furthers her education? Of course not. We want our sisters to be in shape. We want them to go to the gym. We want them to be with their family and their friends, and maybe if they have children, to have some events. We want her to further her education. She needs to get her money. She needs to further education so she can take care of herself and her children. And this is beautiful. It elevates that woman mentally and spiritually, and it gives her a little more drive and gives her more self-esteem so she can feel better about herself as well as making more money. These are good things. But now, when we take the gym and the family and the education, and we take those things and we put those in and prioritize them